Let's kick this off with a big old cheers.
Cheers.
So, one thing I really loved when I was doing the digging before we decided to come on here was that you didn't just identify as a business owner. You said you were so much more than that. And I think that's really, really important for our conversation today, especially as women, because I feel like we go through all of these identity crises, which is also really, really relevant to your story as well. Like you literally completely reinvented yourself. And I know it's really, really important to you that you empower other women to do exactly the same thing. So what was the moment in your life when you realized that was the message that you want to share with other people?
Oh, that's a really good point, actually. I think there's been many points in my life where I've sort of decided that this is enough, but the message has changed throughout time. So I think originally, after getting, I know we'll probably come back to this, after getting out of like a really bad relationship, I was like, no, I'm going to reinvent myself. But I needed to find out who I was in that process. And so I think in that process from the age of, I think I was 24 to the age of 28, that I was just really trying to like find out who I was and what that meant for my future. And I think it's just been a weird journey along the way of an evolution of me and different versions of me that have come through. And now here I am today as a very multifaceted person, I guess.
Completely. When I was like reading about you, I was like, oh my God. So one thing I think though, when you're like evolving and you're finding more about yourself, is making big, bold moves, right? Otherwise you stay stuck. If you're not moving, you stay stuck. But making big, bold moves is scary.
Oh, it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Horrific, right? So how, you're someone who wants to empower women. If somebody is listening right now and they're kind of sat, they know, I think we always know as well what decisions we want to make, but it's that, do I jump now? Do I not? So what would you say to someone who's maybe sat in that situation right now and like wants to leap but is terrified?
The one thing that I've always had is like blind faith. So I've just been completely delusional and just said, right, okay, well, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to make it happen. I mean, I don't even know the how, actually. I don't say how I'm going to make it happen because you don't always know. It's just if you can vision what you want so badly, you just sort of have to take the first step towards making that your reality. And I think once you've took that first step, things then start snowballing. And I'm a big believer in the universe and all of that stuff. And I think that if that is actually meant to be the path you're meant to be on, things will just move out of the way and things will happen as long as you keep working towards it with that goal in mind.
So true, but that's where probably the biggest issue is when you have that big goal in mind. I think we think too much about that leap rather than, like you said, you've literally just got to take that first step. You're not going to leap there overnight, right?
No, 100%. Like it's a whole process. So, I think the best thing to do is to break it down, and sometimes it can feel super overwhelming to do that, but just look at like, okay, well, what's one small thing I can do today to take me further towards that goal, and then taking that step and then the next step. Because if you look, like I've seen like these memes online or whatever, and it's someone at the bottom of a staircase, and they're looking at the top thinking, how am I going to get there? And it's like, well, obviously you have to climb the stairs to get there. You don't just go from the top to the bottom kind of thing, or bottom to the top. So yeah, following that method really.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is now the perfect time to bring up that big moment in your life where you said to me, you did a manifestation ritual, you were like screaming to Slipknot, and then from that moment your life completely changed. So let's go back a minute to where you were before you had this. Would you say it was like your biggest breakthrough in life?
Yeah, 100%. It is when everything changed for me. So I was single. I was dating a couple of people, and one night I got stood up by this guy, and I'd gone out, I'd bought like less alcohol, and we were gonna have like a really cool night in, and he just texted me and said he'd forgotten and he was going on a date with someone else. Yeah, literally. And I was like, was like, not fucking having this. I was like, no way. I was like, I deserve so much more than this. Had a bit of a meltdown, obviously, because, hit me in the feels. And that night I took myself out of the house. It was like, there was booze in the house. I had a bit of a rocky relationship when it came to that at the time. So I was like, right, I'm taking myself out of this situation. And then the next day I woke up, put my Slipknot playlist on, because my brother is a Grebo. And so like I grew up listening to Slipknot, System of a Down, all of that sort of stuff. So I put my Grebo playlist on, drove 2 hours to the Welsh coast, screaming these songs the whole way. It was so cathartic. And then I got to the beach and like went for a walk. And then I started with my Moana side of things and like started like singing the Moana theme tune and all that stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that song.
Yeah, so like that contrast is like, quite big. And I just did this like letting go ritual. And I was just like, no, I deserve more than this. I'm not going to allow people to treat me in this way and to be someone's second choice. Like I want someone to pick me first. So I did this whole ritual where I basically made a shopping list of what I wanted in my next partner and what I didn't want. And it was like super basic, like I don't want them to live at home with their mum. I want them to be able to drive. I want them to have their own bank account, because that's how low my standards were with men. And the next thing I know, like literally a week later, I matched with, I met Jess, who is my now wife. And it was literally instant. The first hour I met her, I knew she was my one. But I wouldn't have met her if I hadn't have said, I'm not having this anymore, because I wasn't ready to receive the level of love that she would give me. So yeah, it was a huge moment.
Amazing. So, and again, this is like so relevant, where from what we were just talking about, how you take the first step and it's not a leap. It looks like within that week, you took this massive leap to settling for men that were giving you the bare minimum, to then meeting literally the love of your life within a week. But ultimately it's all of the decisions and everything that you put yourself through way before that led you to that defining moment where you decided enough was enough. So I want to know more about this ritual. So you said it's like a shopping list. So you're basically saying what you want and what you don't want. So was it literally just like, this side is what I want, this side is what I don't want?
Yeah, literally it was as black and white as these are the qualities that I don't want from the partner anymore. It's like, I don't want to be their mum, because I found that was happening quite a lot.
This vibe a lot with men.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to be a mum. Like, I want to be treated as an equal. I want to be made a priority, and all of those sorts of things. So I wrote all those down. And then the way that I wanted to feel in the relationship. So it was a lot about security, about being valued, as I said, about being like felt equal in the relationship. And then I went and burnt it. So when I had this bit of paper, I then just went and burnt it and said, right, this is what I want. I didn't actually, one of the things I didn't specify on there was what gender they were, because I'm openly bisexual. So I was like, a partner is cool, like however they come into my life. At this point, I wasn't actually fully out either. So it was quite a big thing. And yeah, I just like burnt it and was like, right, let this come about as it will. And
lo and behold, it did.
Yeah, that was it.
That's insane.
It was insane. And it's one of those that, like, when you hear about it, you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. But it actually is like, it was that good and it was that easy once I put my self-worth, like hired my self-worth. So, yeah.
I love that. It's such a cool story. So take us back then, because I believe what we're settling for, well, it's the same as anything, isn't it? It's based on what we believe about ourselves, which has all come from past experiences. So what do you think was going on or happened that made you in this position where you weren't giving yourself the self-love or respect that you deserved, or letting other people give that to you either?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I've touched on it briefly before. I was in a relationship for a long time in my early 20s that it wasn't a good relationship at all. So when I say I wasn't even getting like the bare minimum, I was like literally living with scraps. And that whole relationship, slowly over the time, my self-worth just completely diminished. And I had no sense of self-worth at all. And so for me, coming out of that relationship, I was getting scraps from other people, and the scraps were better than what I'd been getting before. And so I was happy to settle for that because I thought it was cool. And then I had like one really cool relationship where like he kind of taught me what love could be like. And from there I was like, okay, cool, that didn't work out, fine. But because I'd been like, so I've been shown something completely different, I was like, oh wow, actually it can be really nice. And then yeah, kind of went back for scraps a little bit after that because I was like, oh, I'll settle for this for now. And yeah, that was kind of, I think that was kind of where I was really.
I feel like that's a massively part of your 20s, sometimes even in your 30s as well, right? Is me and Sally like to say all the time, fuck around and find out.
I did that.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So was that before or after the like bad relationship?
Both.
Both. That's so funny.
Yeah, I did it before, and like I was in my like late teens before I met him. I think I was like 18 when I met him. So like, yeah, I'd done a bit of wild time at college, then got into the relationship and came out of that at 24. And yeah, up until I met Jess, it was wild. It was a wild experience. So yeah, but I don't regret any of it because it's made me like who I am today. Like there's no, I don't like, yeah, I don't judge myself for who I was back then at all. So yeah.
I love that because I was literally just about to ask you, how does it make you feel now when you look back on that?
Oh, well, I mean, you know, it was wild. And, you know, there's a few things that like, I know I was settling for scraps in a few places, but also, do you know what? I was having a lot of fun at the same time and I wasn't hurting anybody. So, you know, it was just great. And I enjoyed my single years. That I can categorically say.
What I love about that is I feel like as women in particular, we hold a lot of shame around certain decisions that we make, and I love that I'm not feeling that from you. I mean, because you've got nothing to be ashamed about anyway. But I do feel like we do hold a lot of shame. Even for me, I look back on past relationships, you know, like you literally shudder and you're like, oh, I did that.
Oh yeah, like let's not mix anything up here. I've definitely got some of those, like 100%. But also I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's more like that. But I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. And I did it and that's cool. And we'll just put it down to experience, shall we? Yeah. I just don't tell anybody about them.
I love that. So tell me more then about when you met Jess. I know you said you hadn't come out completely.
Yeah.
So had you been with women before, but you just hadn't been open about it? So it wasn't your first time being with a woman?
It was not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
No. So I actually grew up very much knowing that I was bisexual from quite a young age, actually. I actually got bullied at school for it. So a girl that I was best friends with read my diary that had all of the experiences in there. And she decided to tell everybody at school that I'd like had experiences with a girl. Said girl denied everything. And I got really bullied by all of her school friends. And then everybody at my school as well also like hated it. But then of course, the girls at my school, if they wanted to experiment, they knew who to come to. And the boys didn't like it. And then the girls always denied it and all of that stuff. So I'd been openly bisexual for many years, but very closeted because of the experience that I'd had then, if that makes sense.
That must have been really tough.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, when I eventually did sort of like, I got my first proper girlfriend when I was 20, just before I met Jess, actually. So it was, I think I was 27 at the time. And I came out to like a couple of people, and a few took it well, a couple didn't. And again, it was one of those like, oh shit, like I don't know how this is actually going to go down. And turns out they were more like not okay with who I was dating rather than the fact that I was dating a woman.
Right.
It was more like, oh my God, that person's not for you. But yeah, it was like a big thing because, you know, I've grown up with my grandparents, the Jehovah's Witnesses. My stepdad has definitely put some things out there over the years that would say that he's not okay with being homosexual. However, he absolutely loves my wife. and I've not actually had a better relationship with him than I do now since I've been with her. So it was a scary, very scary move to make, because there was a lot of anxiety around potentially losing my relationship with my grandparents, who I'm very close with, and with him as well. I didn't know how he was going to react, but it's all good, and it was scary, but it was worth it.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
Because what I find crazy is, and it might be, obviously I'm looking at this from a complete outsider, I've never been in that situation, is obviously apart from a select few people, is I feel like it's normal these days. Like if my friends, I've had friends come out to me as gay and I'm like, cool, like I don't care who you're sleeping with, who you love, like, you're my friend. And I'd be like that with anyone. And I just find it crazy that we're living in a world where some people are still so unaccepting of it. And it blows my mind. So what advice would you give to people? Because I bet there's so many people watching thinking, oh, like maybe they want to experiment, they're not sure, like they're on that am I not, and maybe they want to experiment, or maybe they're like, actually no, I am, and I need to tell someone, but they don't know what to do.
That's a really great question. So I think if you've got a friend that is either out or is a safe space, like that's probably the first place to start, just by having someone that you can voice your feelings to about maybe you're thinking a certain way or you're having certain thoughts or feelings. Hopefully you've got someone that you can go to and speak to. If not, there are a lot of people out there who are openly gay who would, I've no doubt, be more than willing to have you slide into their DMs and say, hey, like, this is what I've got going on. I don't actually have anybody to talk to. Can I talk to you about it? And I know for one, I would be more than up for that, and have been that for people who are unsure, just to talk it through. Because I think the more you go through it in your head, the more daunting it can almost become.
Making up those scenarios most 100%. Of the time, isn't it? Like we always picture the worst possible outcome instead of actually what's the best possible outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Like, as I said, I never imagined that I'd end up having this amazing relationship with my wife and my stepdad, but here we are. It's amazing, and I do feel very lucky for that, because it definitely could have gone another way. But yeah, it's hard. It is hard, and it's very brave to have those conversations as well. Like I fully know how scary it can be. So yeah, it's
the same with anything, isn't it? Uncomfortable conversations are brave to do, whether it's that you want to talk to someone about your sexuality, or even the conversations we have with our partners can sometimes be horribly uncomfortable, but you have to do it. And sometimes I think as well, you don't realise, you never know what somebody else is thinking.
No, and you can't control what they think either.
No,
you just have to own how you react to a situation as well.
Totally. And sometimes, like we were just saying, you worry about nothing. Like I remember in my own relationship, I've been like, oh, I'm worried about this thing, not bloody said anything for months and months and months and months and months. And then little do I know that my partner is worried about exactly the same thing, not saying anything for months and months and months. So what did we do? We come to a full, bang, arguing. It's like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Well, I didn't know you felt that way. And then it was like, we were on the same page, but because we weren't communicating, we didn't know we were on the same page.
Yeah, communication is absolutely key in so many things, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
And we came out the other end how stupid was that? We've spent months kind of we weren't arguing or anything, but you could just definitely feel like something was in the air. And then it ended up being not a big row, but a disagreement to then be like, oh, actually we feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, and that's it.
And we just needed to say, oh,
yeah,
can I talk to you about this?
Yeah. Do you know what? There's actually apps out there now that people can put. It's daily check-ins with your partner. So it's without having to have the face-to-face confrontational conversations that might make you feel a bit nervous. You can literally have these conversations through apps and raise issues that might be concerning you that can then lead to a bigger conversation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's
really
amazing as well what's actually out there that you don't realise too. Like I was saying, what's your advice to other people that are maybe wanting to come out? But I bet there's support groups and all sorts of things out there.
Yeah,
for that.
No doubt there is. Well, I mean, there definitely will be.
Speaking of making big decisions, having uncomfortable conversations, all of that, I do feel like leads in quite well actually to boundaries. One thing you said as well is like setting boundaries and having delulu levels of self-beliefs. What does that look like though? Because I feel like maybe because we're in the business world, we're very aware of these terms and manifestation and all of that. Like I definitely learnt more about it once I become a business owner. But I feel like all the information out there is very fluffy. Like, just have self-belief. And it's like, if you're someone who is self-belief is in the fucking toilet, what does that look like?
Well, it's inaction a lot of the time. It's just being stuck, not believing that you're worth what you want. Sometimes it's not even, you can't even visualize what you want because you don't know what's out there and available to you. And you sort of like see, there's so many people online that are living all these lives that you see, and you kind of like see them as so far removed from where you are. I think actually it's when you start seeing that real life people can achieve these things, and they don't come from like really wealthy backgrounds, they don't have all of those like things that can really set you up for success in the beginning, that you can actually just turn your life around. I think when you start seeing that it's those small moves that we talked about before that can really help, that kind of give you that level of a ability to move forwards. And it is starting small. And I think one of the things that really changed the manifestation game for me is when I stopped making it materialistic and I started making it about how I want to feel in my life, and then looking at the things that could help me to feel that way. So like one of the biggest manifestation things for me obviously is Jess, and the other thing is our house. So just before I met her, I was living in a rented flat. I was on benefits because of COVID. I had no savings, and my landlord told me they were selling the flat I was living in.
Excellent.
Fantastic, right? And so I just sat there one day and said, I'm going to buy a house. And my friends and family were like, what are you going on about? I was like, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy that house. This was like in May, I think. It's like, I'm going to buy that house and I'm going to put the deposit down in like October time, and I'm going to move in March. And they were like, yeah, sure. Okay. I was like, no, this is going to happen. Like, and the reason why I wanted that to happen is because obviously with the landlord selling my flat, it then brought up all the feelings of like not feeling secure in my home. And again, somebody else had control over my housing situation, which is a feeling that I didn't want to have back, because like my flat had been my sacred space for years at that point. And I was like, no, I don't want to give anybody else that power ever. So it was about manifesting that feeling of security that owning my own house could give me. So it was actually less about wanting to own a house as such, but the control that would give me over my future and my stability. And yeah, it happened. And I moved in, me and Jess actually together put the deposit down early November of that year on the house next door to the one that I circled, after we looked at loads of other houses. So it wasn't that I just honed in on that, had to have that one. We looked around and then ended up buying next door and moved in the March.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that. And do you know what? Now you're talking about the feelings and things like that. I'm not going to lie. Usually when I hear people like, just feel the feelings, I'm like, oh, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? But now you said that and you explained your story, I'm like, I totally did that.
Yeah.
When I started my business. So I was on a mortgage holiday. COVID. I feel like COVID was wild for so many of us.
Yeah.
Ryan lost his job because of COVID. He'd only been there a short while, so no redundancy pay. We just emptied our savings for him to do a plumbing course, which he couldn't even take because of COVID. Oh, so it was like, fuck. So we had to go on a mortgage holiday, and I remember I said to myself, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to be in a position like this ever again, where I feel like I could lose my home. So that was the thought going through my head. I was like, I'm going to have to move back in with my mum.
And that's it. And so actually, like, subconsciously you were like, this isn't what I want, this isn't what I want to do, and you wanted that security and to know that you were safe.
Yeah.
And so then the business was created and was able to give you that security.
Totally.
So,
and then what you said as well about materialistic things. So I wouldn't say I've ever manifested anything materialistic. I've definitely manifested things that I wanted, and that's where I noticed I was making a big mistake, and I feel like so many people can relate to this, is we talk about, I want to hit the first 5k month, then 10k month, then 20k month, and I noticed I was always trying to manifest things based on like a monetary value, and it never worked. I never did it. But the minute I was like, I want to make 15 grand because I want to go into that mastermind, I shit you not, 3 weeks later, I had 15 grand cash to go and join that mastermind. I'd never made money that quick in my life. And then my next thing was, it was going to be my mum's 50th, my stepdad's 50th, and Ryan's 30th. And I was like, I'm going to take them all to New York. And after I said that, a month later, I booked and paid in full for all of us to go to New York. Like, it became less about the money and more about the experience that the money was going to provide. So it wasn't like, I want a specific amount. Well, the mastermind was, New York wasn't. It was just like, I just want to be able to pay to go. It was like, I'd just kind of taken that pressure off.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. So when I thought 20k months, it was like, fuck, that's really hard. That feels impossible. I'm going to have to do all this work. I'm going to have to get a team. And you go into like complete meltdown, panic mode, never going to happen. But when it's like, I want to take my family to New York, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So it's
and you're like less about the how. It's like you saw the outcome of what you wanted, and then you kind of like made the steps to make it happen, but probably were so focused on, that's what I want to do, that it was less about, as you said, it was less about actually making the money and more about the end goal. So then it kind of happened. Yeah.
And you're excited for it rather than that fear, because that's the other thing, isn't it? If you don't believe you're going to have it, you're not going to have it.
It's not going to happen. Of course it's not.
No,
absolutely. That's one thing that I like about like vision boards and stuff, which I know again is like quite like woo, but one of the scariest things for me is when I actually look back at my vision boards and see the experiences that I've actually experienced that are the spitting image of that. But it's not like I've subconsciously gone and looked to take like a specific photo in a specific spot because it was on my vision board. Like, there's this really clear picture I've got that I'd put like palm trees. It was the shadow of a palm tree in a sunset, and it was like overlooking the beach, and it was absolutely stunning. And I was like, oh my God, I saw it in a magazine, cut it out. I was like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And about 9 months later, I was just like, I was changing my home screen on my phone. I was looking through my photos of when me and Jess had been in Spain. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's that. I was like, no way. And I literally got this photo up that I took of her in Marbella, and it was the exact same photo. And I was just like, I was giving me goosebumps now telling you, but I was just like, what the hell? Like, it was wild.
Insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I struggled to get on board with manifestation for a long time. I now I would say I'm a little bit woo-woo. At the beginning I wasn't. I remember when I used to work in my shitty full-time job, and Richard, he was like my work dad. I miss him so much. And he always used to talk to me about the law of attraction. I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, no. I was like, I'm in a foul mood. I hate my job. I'm on a mortgage holiday. Like, I'm going to have to go move back in with my mum, and it's going to be super embarrassing. My life's hard. Everyone's out to go. I was that person.
Yeah.
But like, he just kept at it with me, and he's like, no, think positive thoughts. And I remember the first time he said it, I was like, you're in cuckoo land, mate. And then actually one day a Facebook ad popped up for like a manifestation boot camp, and I was like, do you know what? I'm sick of everyone talking about it. I had no expectations. Let's check this out. And the first day, I remember the homework was to say out loud, which gave me the ick, to the universe. I can't remember, but something along the lines of, I am expecting a gift, and I want my gift to arrive no later than tomorrow. And then I felt so cringe, said it out loud. I was like, who am I? What am I doing? I can't remember how I got it, but within 3 hours, somehow I'd won like 250 quid. Bearing in mind at the time, I was broke as fuck on a mortgage holiday. Like, that was a lot of money for me. It was like, oh my God, like, some weeks and weeks and weeks of food shopping for us. And I remember in that moment, I was like,
shit.
Hang on a minute.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, like, I've been missing this whole time. And from there I like just started to learn more and more about it. And I do feel like it is a topic where people are still really 50-50. Like, you've got the people that freaking love it and are obsessed with it, and then you've got the people that think that we're all like on crack.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's like, if you just go around going, I want this and I want that and I want a pony, and like have you like whatever it's called. Grinch, that was literally straight quote of Grinch, wasn't it? Anyway. I think when you start looking at it like that and going around saying, I want, like, that shit ain't gonna happen. Like, the way I look at it is, when you're a kid and used to go and like make your shopping, like your Christmas list, for your mum or your dad or whatever.
Argos catalogue out.
Argos catalogue, exactly. So you'd get your Argos catalogue out, right? And you'd go there and you'd circle it and you'd be dead specific, wouldn't you, about what you wanted. And inevitably, like, something would turn up, because obviously it wasn't Santa. Sorry, it was your parents, and they took it. But it's like, that's how I view manifestation now as well, is that, like, if you do want materialistic things, it's like, okay, well, I'd like this, but to do that, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And you're giving the universe like specific details about exactly what you want, and then it can come to you. But yeah, that's kind of like how I do it. I'm like, right, okay, this would be nice, and this is what I want, and I'm going to do this, and this to show you that I'm willing to do anything to get there, kind of thing. But I totally get this speaking out loud thing. Like, I was literally, I think it was yesterday, I did a card pull. So again, you know, oracle cards and stuff. I did a card pull, and then I was like, that's it. I was like, I know this is what I want to do. I know this is where I'm going. I literally sat there and just like spoke out the window, looked at the sky, and was like, this is what I want. And please, in whatever way that looks like, can we make this happen for me in the easiest, most beautiful way possible? And I was like, okay, cool. And that's done. And that's that. And I'm putting things in place to get me to there, and I'm doing the work to get there. But that intention is fully out there, and I know, like, it's going to happen. 100%.
Exciting. I can't wait for it to happen and for you to tell me that it happened.
Yes, I will.
I love that you brought up the specificity as well. So another thing that I manifested, but just completely wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Is my car being written off. So I had this. So again, this is when me and Ryan were having a really difficult time financially.
Yeah.
And so when I lived at home with my mum, she was really, really nice to me. I lived at home rent free, and I was working. Unlike my friends, because I did shit at school, I went straight into the working world from 16. So by the time I was like 25, I was earning really good money in like the corporate world, because I didn't go to college, didn't go to uni, straight into work. So I was living at home rent free. Probably earning about 32 grand a year, which at the time was like really good money with no bills. So I was driving a nice car, like £300 a month car, because it was like, I've got nothing else to spend it on.
Why not?
Bought a flat with Ryan, and then was like, I can't really afford this car anymore. And I remember thinking, wouldn't it be great if somebody just got written off and like just paid off, and then I could start again. So I should have been more specific, and like, I wanted the car to be parked up on the street, me not be in it, a big lorry take it out, job done. Instead, it ended up me on the M3 ramming a big car up the arse, and it being my fault. It was like 2 days before I was going on holiday as well, so it was like really, really stressful time. And I remember thinking, I should have been more specific with how I wanted this to go down. But instead, honestly, it only took about 2 weeks. Going, I wish my car just got written off.
Oh, I've like 100%. So the business being, when I went full time in that, it was literally, I had been, again, manifesting, wanting to go full time in business. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, oh God, this job I'm in, I really don't like it. Really wasn't okay. To the point that I actually was signed off sick. And I literally was like, I was off sick, and I was like, I just don't want to go back, la 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 la. They made me redundant. I was like, shit, that's not what I meant. I was like, I needed to make this decision on my own, in my own time, so I didn't just have to like jump, or like, I was like, and that's how I went full time in business, is that it was not a decision. I manifested going full time, but it appeared in the form of redundancy rather than me being ready to do it. Yeah,
I'm loving this conversation, because you're making me realise how much I've actually manifested as well. I remember saying to the people at work that knew I'd started my business, I said, by summer, I said, I'm not here.
Yeah,
I'm not here. And I left on, I think it was something like the 14th of May.
Yes, of course you did.
As the sun started shining, I was like,
bye.
Yeah, I handed my notice in the March and was gone by the May. And it was like,
Amazing.
wow. And also, so at the time, I don't anymore, I really wanted a G-Wagon. When I left the office, there was a G-Wagon parked outside the office, and I'd worked there for 7 years. That G-Wagon had never been outside the office. I just remember walking out and thinking like, I have no idea what's going to happen to me, but it's going to be good.
Yeah,
and
like 100%.
That was it.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm fully on board with like, as I said before, when things are meant to be for you, they will work out. Like for probably the best part of 18 months, like I was like, I want a Tesla, I want a big Tesla. Yeah, that's what I want to drive, blah, blah, blah. Thank God I don't drive a Tesla now. Oh my God. Like, thank God. And I've still got my Fiat, and I'm happy as Larry, just like driving around in a little Fiat.
Oh, I love that.
But I was never meant to have a Tesla.
But isn't it funny? There's some things for me as well that when I didn't have money, I thought about all the things that I wanted.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was in a position to spend money, I was like, I don't want that. Me and Sally were in London. I remember we went into Harrods and just watching people with their credit cards just drop in tens of thousands. And at the time, I had 5 figures in my bank account. I didn't buy a single thing. I was walking around and I was like, I don't want any of this shit. Whereas before I had my business and I was picturing having all this money, I was like, I'm going to walk into Harrods and I'm just going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And as soon as I was in the position to, I walked in there and I was like, why would I want any of this? Like, it completely changed.
Yeah, I fully get that. I've had a bit of a 180 at the moment in just everything. Like I've been aiming for like this big money like target for ages, and it's just not been happening. And I've been like really putting myself down. I'm like, I'm nearly like 5 years in business this year. Like, why am I not there yet? Blah, blah, blah. And I stopped and I was like, it's because you like what you wanted to be full-time in business. You wanted flexibility. You wanted to be able to pick up your nieces from school. You wanted to be able to do what you want when you want. You've got that now, and you're not being grateful for what you've actually achieved. And like, I was like, just stop for a second and take in like what you've actually done. Stop like keeping going. Like you're aiming up here, like stop and reassess, like what do you actually want? And I was like, oh, actually I'm really happy and I don't actually want for a lot. And like I did this dream life calculator thing the other day. I was like going through it all, and I was sat there, I was like, just want to be able to have my nails done and like get my skin done, a nice little facial, and like not worry about it. And I think because I've had like times where I've literally had nothing, that actually I'm really content with just being happy and being able to have a part-time job basically and be there for my family, because I wasn't for a long time. So I'm happy.
I think that's a really important conversation as well, because I almost feel like social media makes us think we want things that we don't want, because all of us, I bet if all of us got our phones out right now and went straight on Instagram, there's going to be somebody celebrating 100k month, or someone's just bought a private jet or been on a private jet, or they're in the friggin' Maldives, or, you know, whatever it is. And it's almost like we get that pang of like, oh, I'm not doing good enough. But then it's being like, no, hang on a minute, rewind. Do you even want that? And I have big goals, and I would say I definitely am with certain things. Like, yeah, I do want that. But I also think it's amazing when people say, no, I don't want that. Like, I had a program called Passive Income School in my business. Some people join in, like, I want 10k months in Passive Income School. Another person joined and she was like, I want to make £300 a month for passive income because it pays for my family holiday every year.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly that. I love it. And I think that, don't get me wrong, there is absolutely nothing wrong with having big goals. Like, I love setting goals, and you know, we've spoken about some of mine already. But I think when I set the goals, and I set the goals because I think I should be setting those goals, that's when everything just like doesn't feel aligned, it doesn't feel good, and there's this pressure that's nobody else has put it on me. I've put it on me because I think that in order for my business to be successful, it needs to be multi-six figures. Like, if you were a multi-six figure business, like, but if you were in corporate and you were a multi-six figure business like person or whatever, you'd be like sitting on the C-suite of directors. Like, you'd be like up here, you know. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like this whole disconnect of like the online space has made this thing so normal, and actually it's like, and it is normal and it can be achieved, but it's like, what about if you don't want to do that? Like, is your business less successful? Because absolutely not, absolutely not. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's taking that almost like pressure off a little bit to just enjoy the life that you're creating rather than putting the constant pressure on.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I've always said that, especially with my business, I don't want like a gazillion employees and things like that, which is why growing for me was always scary, because it's like, oh, but if I do that, then I'm going to need a VA, and then I'm going to have someone to do this and someone to do that. And like, to me, it was like, I value freedom more, and I don't want to be spending every day managing people. I want things to run the way they are. So I feel like a next really good question for you is fear. Taking action when you feel fear.
Yeah. So years and years ago, actually, when I used to live around the corner, I went to this workshop, and my old boss taught me this thing, and it's about fear, but it's about making decisions and feeling and checking in with yourself about when you're making these decisions. And it's like, when you think about making the decision, what reaction does your body have? Does it have a fuck yes, or does it have a fuck no? And if it's a fuck yes, can still feel scary, but it's a fuck yes, I want this, then make the move, do it, feel the fear and fucking do it anyway. If you think about that goal and your body, like, you can feel it go, ugh, like, that's a fuck no. Like, okay, look at why is that a fuck no first? And then say, okay, well, is there another move I can make to get me there? Or is it that is actually, like, it's feeling scary because it's not for me. And like, sitting with that, because sometimes things will, like, you can have a physical reaction to things that are not meant for you at all. And I think when you're not listening to your body, that's when things like start chafing and things start feeling really shit, is that when you're not paying attention and not checking in with yourself. So with fear, feel it and do it, but only if it's a fuck yes. Yeah.
I love that. And you can totally feel it. Like, you can feel your whole body tense up when something's not right.
Yeah. And like, even it's like the little voices, and like, you know, if you don't listen, like, it won't happen. Like, regardless of however much you try, like, it just won't happen. And there will be constant barriers, and it will be hard, and it will feel struggle and stressful and all of that stuff. When things are right, like, yeah, there might be a bit of hardness, but it won't feel like things are going to blow up all the time. That's how I look at it anyway.
Totally. I love that. People ask me all the time, how do you work so hard? How do you keep going? Like, the amount of people that call me a machine. And I'm like, to me, there's no other choice, because I want that thing. So I'm going to keep going. So I'm like, I'm not motivated every day. I mean, I've already said I'm having a nap today. I'm that person. I have to nap. I wake up some days and I think, no, I'm not doing it today. But most of the time I'm very motivated, and people are always like, how? And I'm like, there's no other option. Literally. And I feel like if you're feeling less motivated more than you are actually really motivated and fired up, you're doing the wrong thing.
100%. And look at it as why. And it's 100% that. Like, I'm fully with you. Like, some days I'll get up and I'll be like, oh God, like, okay, right, then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll get up and I'll be fine. But that's like the freedom element for me, is that I want the freedom to be able to work when I want, and like work hard when I'm working, but then also like fully take the breaks off and be like, yeah, cool, I'm chilling today, or I'm going away and I'm not taking the laptop and I'm chilling, but I will graft when I graft. Do you know what I mean? It's having that balance, and the freedom to be able to make those decisions is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what made you start your business then? Oh God, it's another big story.
Not really.
No, it's a more simple one, is it?
I was working in a coffee shop, and I was running a vegan bakery, so like from home. This was in 2020, so I'd had it for 4 years. All of the cafes and restaurants that I was stocking with my vegan cakes closed down because COVID. The cafe that I was working in closed down because COVID. And my partner at the time had OCD, so like going out of the house was not a thing. Like, we were like highly isolated, and I was like, oh my God. But again, as I said earlier, I was like, had no job, was on benefits, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, So, do you remember that one time when I worked at that bistro in that one place and they made me a manager, and rather than just managing people, they made me manage their website? I was like, oh yeah, I did that, didn't I? I was like, I could do that now because everyone's moving online. And that was it.
Wow.
And my friend at the time ran a yoga, well, she still does run a yoga studio, and her website was shite. And I was like, Eileen, I love you. Please, can I redesign your website? Please, please, please. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, gave me free will. I redesigned it, and that was it. And that's how it started.
That's amazing. I love that though. It's like the idea dropped in your head and you didn't pause and think, oh, but I'm not qualified, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. It was like, oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
And then that first step was messaging your friend.
Yeah. And then I had another friend that was a hair and makeup artist, and she found out that I'd done it, and she came to me, and I did hers pro bono as well. And then from her friend was my first paid client, and I remember her paying me, and I've got a picture of me crying, being like, oh my God, someone's actually paying me to do this thing that I made up like 2 weeks ago. And that was it. And then it just kind of like snowballed from there. Had to pause it for a little minute while I went and got a full-time job so I could qualify for a mortgage. But then it obviously came back, and I kept going a little bit in the background whilst I was doing it. But yeah, then obviously made redundant full-time. That was it.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't like a...
How simple.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. And I was like, la, 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 off I trotted and went and did it.
It's like, that's the best way to be though, isn't it? Because I literally just said this, didn't I? We'll have an idea, and it's the fear, isn't it? And then we go, I haven't got this. I've never done this before. Mm-hmm. What about this? What if they judge me? That was my biggest thing. Oh my God, I didn't post on my personal page about my business Instagram until 2023. So 3 years.
3 years.
It took me to be like, and by this point I was doing really well, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell everyone now, I don't care. But I was like, the thought of telling people before, I was like, that moment of, who does she think she is? And even right now, we're doing this podcast, I'm gonna launch this podcast, even this is going on to my personal brand, and I'm like, the amount of people, it's probably not true, but I'm just assuming everyone that I went to school with is going to be like, who does Tori think she is?
100% with you. Literally, I'm like 100%. I'm sat here like, oh shit, all them people from school is going to be like, oh, what's she going to talk about that for? She's full of shit, we didn't bully her. Like literally, that's what I'm in my brain now. I'm like, oh, I've just talked about it, and like, but I'm like, actually, do you know what? That is what happened. So if you don't like it, I didn't like it at the time either, so
yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Isn't it funny though that we feel like we're alone in these thoughts?
100%.
But you're having what I just said about the conversation with Ryan as well. We're having like exactly the same thoughts, but you just have these conversations and you're like, oh, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, it's like,
sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah, 100%. But it's like at that point in time, like you're saying, like you had no other choice other than to make the business work because your mortgage thing. I was literally like, right. At the time, people weren't recruiting. I couldn't go out the house. The only other job that was available was literally going to work in the hospital to help people. And I was like, well, I can't do that because like, what's going to go on there? So, I need to do something where I don't have to leave the house. And so that was like kind of what I came up with. You know, it was my only option really at the time until I started working in a donut factory. But, you know, it's what it is. You know, here we go.
I love that.
So, you know, it was just, you had to do what you did at the time and make it work. So
yeah,
it's that simple.
It's incredible when your back's up against the wall.
Oh yeah, you're like
how quickly you'll move.
100%, absolutely.
It's do you know who Alex Hormozy is? Me and Sally.
I actually don't, but I'll find them after.
Check him out. He's brilliant. He is. A lot of people find him controversial. He's big on hustle and grind and hard work.
Right.
And I like that. Mm-hmm. I like the spiritual and the woo-woo side, but it comes with hard work as well, which I think is where a lot of people mess up. Mm-hmm. Anyway, why am I talking about Alex Hormozy? There was a point to this. What were we just talking about?
Donut factories.
Oh no, about when your back's up against the wall. That's it. So he always says that people that don't really take action and kind of just plod along aren't in enough pain.
Yeah. They've not got a reason. They've not got the determination. They've not got like that thing. They've not got the mission. Like it's sometimes it can be easy. And I think that's again, it's about I know we talk about the manifestation. It kind of like comes back into that. Like if you haven't got the feeling and if you're not taking the action, it's not just going to happen. Like, we haven't just got these magic wands that we're flogging around being like, woo, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you don't take action, and if you haven't got a big enough reason to take the action, shit ain't going to happen. And, you know, you can poodle along and you can be safe and you can be like, la la la, I'm floating around, I'm doing this. But until like you've actually got a reason to make it fucking work, it's not gonna.
Absolutely. That was the situation for me. Like, I'd spent years before, I feel awful saying this, looking at the older women who I worked with, you know, 50s, 60s. Bearing in mind, I'm like 23, so like 50s is like, whoa, you're old, you know.
You're
like,
23 now?
No.
I was gonna.
No. 30 in August.
Of course you are. Literally, of course you are.
At the time, I was 23,
yeah.
so like looking at the women in their 50s, it was like they were like way on in their life. They were moaning about money. Like never going on holiday because they couldn't afford it, all this shit. And I remember sitting in the office and being like, I can't be like this. I can't do this. And it terrified me, but not enough to take action, mainly because though I think I didn't have the clarity of what I wanted to do. Still young. But it wasn't until the mortgage holiday situation come along and it was like, okay, I've got no choice, I'm moving. And that's what really made me go. But I'd probably spent like a year or two before that dabbling in things, never really taking it seriously, just messing around. But it was that moment that it was like, we're going for it now.
Like, let's
go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's that I had a very similar thing. Like when I worked in the offices, I was like, I don't want this for myself. And not just the point of like, I don't want this. I was like, I refuse for that to be my life. Like, I'm not here to do that. That's not what I was put here to do. I'm not here to just sit still and be like, I need to go and see the world. I need to experience it. And that's why I have no regrets about anything that I've done, because that's all experience and it's life. And I've got stories and like, I unashamedly tell people my story because it's who I am. And it's because I didn't just sit on my bum and not go out there and do stuff. Like, you know, I think people might have called me wild and whatever, but, you know, fuck it. It's going to be a great story to tell the grandkids one day, no doubt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're going to, Nan, no!
Literally, like, oh my God, Nan, you're so wild.
Like, ew, no! That's what it's like.
Exactly. And you know, me and my mother-in-law now have got this phrase of like, what would 19-year-old Toyah have done? And she makes her decisions based off that, which I'm not sure if that's wise or not, but we'll go there.
Sounds fun though.
She's got a wild life now.
Yeah, I want to go on a night out with 19-year-old Toyah.
I don't.
Yeah. without that stuff, you're married now.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's it. So.
Oh, I love that. This has been amazing. So,
thank you.
What's one piece of advice or knowledge or wisdom you want to leave everybody with? You just can think about it.
I literally, like, the biggest thing for me is that, like, don't settle for anything less than what you are worth. And if you're not sure on what your worth is yet, go and find out, because it's so worth it in the end. And yeah, just be audacious and go and get it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Cheers again.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.